Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the April 15th deadline to file your taxes is rapidly approaching. Are you one among the millions of procrastinating Americans who haven't begun to think about filing yet? Not to worry, we've got some helpful hips for the late crowd. Joining me on set is Getty Pickering, H&R Block Tax Institute Executive Director. Getty, thank you so much.
Thank you
for
so
coming
much.
Once again, this time of year we get to see you. Now, first of all, should people now be getting on with the job? I presume so. What's ahead of people right now?
Yes, there's less than 2 weeks left to file. So if you haven't gotten started, there's a couple things that you need to know. First, you really want to make sure that you're looking at your life circumstances, because things like getting married, getting divorced, having a baby can really change your tax situation. So you want to gather up all of that information. If you are afraid that you're going to get it wrong because you're rushed, then you can file an extension. And so it's more important to get your taxes right than to just get them filed. That said, though, an extension to file is not an extension to pay. So even if you haven't been able to complete your return, you do need to estimate how much money you would owe and send that in. The penalties associated with failure to file versus failure to pay can be pretty steep, and you want to make sure you get that done.
How many people are caught out by this every year?
So right now we're estimating that there's about 60 million people that have yet to file in the last 2 weeks of tax season.
Wow.
And what's interesting about that is that about half of them are going to be getting a refund. So we're wondering why they were waiting until the last minute. And there's about 10 to 11 million people that will file an extension.
Okay. But speaking of waiting to the last minute, a lot of people waited to the last minute to deal with this new law in terms of the health insurance under Obamacare. Are there any implications for that in terms of tax filing? Maybe not for this year, but for next year.
Well, certainly what we just learned is that there was an extension of the open enrollment deadline. So people who had tried to enroll but hadn't been successful now have until mid-April to try to complete their enrollment. And then for next filing season, if you did not have health care coverage during the year, then you'll be paying a penalty.
So it gets dealt with as a tax issue in that sense.
That's exactly right. And people have it in their mind that it might just be $95 for the tax penalty, but it's really $95 per person or 1% of your gross income. So it could be substantially higher than that.
So if people aren't taking your earlier advice about filing extensions and getting this done, and they've been stuck out maybe for quite some time and haven't filed, what's your advice to those folks?
We would absolutely recommend that you get some help and that you go ahead and get filed as quickly as possible. And you want to get caught up on your prior year returns as well.
All right, Getty, some wise advice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.